Good morning from this beautiful little park in Rutherglen, my hometown. Beautiful, this little park. It's a park I very rarely came to. It's very small, it's just off Stonelaw Road. I was chucking it down about 5 minutes ago and now it's scorching. But I'm here for a very specific reason, because on the street just up here to my right lived a very, very famous resident. Can you guess who it was? I'll give you a clue. He was born on the 16th of June 1890 and his real name was Arthur Stanley Jefferson. And at one point in his life he lived in Buchanan Drive in Rutherglen. Now do you know who it is? Yes, it's Stan Laurel. So this is Buchanan Drive, a very leafy suburb of Glasgow and Rutherglen, and I believe that Mr. Stan Laurel lived at the very top of this road. I believe, I'm not sure. Does anyone know for sure what house he lived in? I did read in a forum that someone bought a house at the very top of this road on the right hand side, and when they bought the house, when they were going to move in, the lady who was the previous owner gave them a little statuette of Stan Laurel and quietly said to them, "You maybe want to keep this because Stan Laurel once lived in this house." That's what I read. Let's take a look. So the purpose of this video is just to look around and see where Stan Laurel lived, have a look at the school that he used to go to, maybe manage to get into the town and look at the theatre where he performed his first ever performance, and then finally travel down to Ulverston in the Lake District to see the famous statue down there of Laurel and Hardy. Ulverston is of course where Stan Laurel was born. It's amazing to think that Stan Laurel, maybe around the age of 10 onwards, for a few years at least, lived in this street and probably ran up and down these pavements, not realising the impact that he was going to make on the world of comedy. There is the house over there, number 54. That's possibly the home of Stan Laurel. Around 1900, when his dad moved up here to Rutherglen to take a post as manager of a theatre. Both Laurel and Hardy were two of the most influential comedians of all time, along with Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd and the likes. And that there behind me was most probably his house here in Rutherglen. So Stan Laurel was born in his grandparents' house in Ulverston, but soon moved up to Glasgow when his father, also called Arthur, got a job as the manager of the Metropole Theatre in Stotwell Street in Glasgow. Beautiful street to live in, this one. When Stan Laurel reached the age of 16, he got his first proper stage performance job at the Panopticon Theatre, one of Glasgow's oldest theatres, and is in fact still open to the public. We'll check that out a little bit later. But first, I'm going to show you the school, or one of the two secondary schools or high schools that Stan Laurel used to go to, which is literally a 5-minute walk, maybe a 10-minute at my age. I can just imagine Stan's mum, "Stanley, you're running late for school, hurry up!" and him running about the kitchen trying to grab his school bag, put his shoes on, pull his socks up, maybe doing the wee belting down this street. I would imagine he most likely ran through that park Probably ran down, ran right through the park, out the other end. Still not realising at this point that he was going to go on to become one of the biggest comedians of all time. I could just hear his footsteps pounding as he runs through the park, shorts on, his satchel on his back, bombing through the park and out the gate down at the bottom. At this point in time, Stan Laurel would only have been known to his mum and dad, his family, maybe some neighbours, his friends down in Ulverston, maybe he made some friends up here in Glasgow. And that was all. Little did he know what was just ahead. But young Arthur Stanley Jefferson would have ran down here and through these gates. Now these gates look like originals, the original wrought iron gates that most likely would have been here when young Arthur would have opened it. Running out onto the main road, Stonelaw Road, he would have continued his run down to school, just down here. Across the road, of course, those old folks' homes wouldn't have been there. When I was a boy, that was football pitches. When Stan Laurel was a boy, it was probably still football pitches. Look at the beautiful bowling green. I love bowling greens. If you've not heard my story about my bowling green incident, check out my last Rutherglen video. He would have continued his run down this road past this church. Now, apparently this church was shot at during the war and there's bullet holes somewhere in the wall still to be seen to this day. That's not a bullet hole, that's one of those marks, is it? Can't remember what they're for again. Does anybody remember what these are for? By the way, there was huge queues going all the way down to here earlier on for that shop. I asked someone in the queues, what's happening here? They said, oh, we're just here to buy cakes. I thought, wow, there must be some cakes. I thought for a minute Taylor Swift was maybe in there. And over there was young Stan Laurel's school, Stonelaw High as it was known back in the day. Now it only took me about 8 minutes to walk there. So young Stan Laurel, he would have done it in about 3. Can you name me any other famous people that went to Stonelaw High School? I can think of a few. Rutherglen is of course 900 years old this year, and a video will be coming up about that very soon. But for this video we're concentrating on Stan Laurel. Oh, I've had to jump into the car because it's absolutely pouring outside. In typical Scottish fashion, 1 minute is scorching, the next minute is pouring. Now Stan Laurel made his first ever proper debut in the Panopticon Hall in Glasgow, which was actually closed for 70 odd years, I believe, until it reopened in the 90s to early 2000s. And I went along to a couple of Laurel and Hardy nights. People would go all dressed up. They'd show a couple of their films. One of 107 films that Laurel and Hardy made together, and they'd show them on the screen, and then we'd all have a wee chat about them. Yes, I'm that geek. Now normally at this point in the video we'd just go down to Rutherglen train station, jump the train and go into the city centre, which is only 3 or 4 stops depending if you got off Argyle Street or Glasgow Central. But as you probably know, the horrendous fire that destroyed that beautiful building and has now put Glasgow Central in lockdown at the moment until they assess what's to happen. I believe the latest is the rest of the buildings just to come down. I'll try and find a way into the town, maybe go and see if I can get a bus. Used to be a wee sweetie shop there. I used to get my comics right there. All the folks have all gone wild. Oh, what a howdy do. There's a big or two funny chaps, or the more something new. Side by side, you start to glide. Forget all your troubles and everything's fine. For I'm cuckoo and you're cuckoo. Sing la 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 la. Now we officially leave Rutherglen as we go over the Marnock Bridge into Marnock. And there it is, the Panopticon Theatre where Stan Laurel, age 16, made his debut. The entrance to it is up New Wind, just up this little lane here. Oh wow, something's going on.
Let's get the crystal bucket and move forward towards the raised first, please.
Isn't this building absolutely beautiful? Unfortunately I can't get in at the moment. There's a production being filmed at the moment. And they're doing the pick-up shots. And they don't make buildings like that anymore. So if you got this little lane at the side of the Panopticon, something that caught my eye was these beautiful signs painted onto the wall. There's that one there, and there's this, and there's this, and there's another one just up there. But the one I'm here to see is right there. So there we have it, the Panopticon Theatre in Glasgow, where Stan Laurel made his acting debut. Look at this beautiful building here. I feel as if it's important now to record the buildings in Glasgow, because you just never know what's around the corner. There's another great dome top of that building. Let's hope nothing ever happens to that one. The crane in place now, starting to demolish what's left of the building. The story about Stan Laurel's took a tragic turn. I just thought while I'm in the town we'd just show you the latest. This is an absolute tragedy for Glasgow. I mean, there's one thing watching these scenes on TV, but it's a whole different ball game when you're here. The atmosphere is so tense and people are so sad, gathering round, hundreds of people taking pictures. Cannot believe the devastation. It's almost like looking at a war scene, as if we've just been blitzed by some enemy. Tragic. So everybody's talking, they've all got their stories to tell. I just met a lovely couple there who said they met under the clock in the Central, and they've each got a story to tell about this building. Anyway, I'm supposed to be making a video about Stan Laurel, and I'll get sidetracked, but I think you'll think it's a worthy sidetrack just to let you see the latest that's going on. Back to Stan Laurel, and as if by magic, here I am back at Stonelaw Academy, where Stan Laurel went to school. Oh, I've had to jump back into the car because it's pouring down with rain again. So that's a little story about Stan Laurel here in Rutherglen and in Glasgow city centre. But what about where he was born, his birthplace down in Ulverston? Well, that's how I'd like to end the video, by driving down to Ulverston, which is around 3 to 3.5 hours drive from here. But we're doing that in a different day, although you'll see it in the same video. because I want to go down and see the statue of Stan and Ollie down in Ulverston and end the video there. And by the power of YouTube, hello folks, I'm down here in Ulverston in the Lake District. What do you think of my bonnet? Quite fetching, eh? But I believe there's a statue down here of Laurel and Hardy, and my mission is to find this statue. I can see the Stan Laurel Inn. Well, I've found his inn, so I must be getting close. Down here maybe. The Roxy Laurel and Hardy Museum. Hey. Green light. Ah, look what I can see ahead of me. Absolutely brilliant. There they are. The best comedians who've ever lived, in my humble opinion.
Oh, what a howdy do. It is because two funny chaps taught them all something new. Side by side you start to glide, forget all your troubles, let everything slide. For I'm cuckoo and you're cuckoo, sing tra la 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 la.